Call the meeting to order and ask you to stand for the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Good morning and welcome to the October 4th County Commission meeting. I would remind you to silence your cell phones. The meeting documents are on the end of the counter next to Commissioner Bender. And if you need listening devices, Robert is in the front here and he can help you with that. With that, we'll move on to routine business. Item number 1 is consider a motion to approve the agenda.
So moved.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, same sign. Motion passes unanimously. Item number 2, if it's approved, the County Commission meeting minutes from September 27th, 2016. Is there a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Motion and a second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, same sign. Motion passes unanimously. Item number 3 is bills to be paid in the amount of $1,412,037.80. Is there
Pay
a
the
motion?
bills.
Is there a second?
Second.
No comments. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, same sign. Motion passes unanimously. Item number 4 is reports. Item A is Minnehaha County Highway Report for September 2016, and that is on file at the auditor's auditor's office. Item number 5 is personnel actions. Item A is consider a motion to approve routine personnel actions.
Second.
A motion and a second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, same sign. Motion passes unanimously. Carrie Deaver.
Good morning, Carrie Deaver from Human Resources. I have several items for you this morning. The first is to recognize significant employee anniversaries for October 2016. We have 5 individuals celebrating anniversaries, Mark Joyce and Betsy Doyle, who are celebrating 5 years of service each. Mark is with the State's Attorney's Office and Betsy is with the Public Defender's Office. We also have Bill Barron in Equalization celebrating 10 years of service. Don Donovan, who is a juvenile correctional officer at JDC, celebrating 10 years of service, and Grant Wilson with the museum celebrating 10 years of service. And I don't think we have anyone with us this morning, though.
Okay, all right.
I also have a request to record the volunteers in county departments for September 2016. We have 264 volunteers in 8 different areas throughout our county. Each month I tell you the same thing, and it can't be more true. We couldn't do it without them.
That's right.
My third item for you is to transfer Brooke Goodall from a deputy state's attorney to a paralegal at pay grade 16, step 3 for the state's attorney's office at $20.75 an hour effective September 19th. And the next item I have for you is to transfer Lisa Capilupo from a deputy public defender to a paralegal, also at grade 16, step 3 for the public defender's office at $20.75 an hour effective September 19th. These are similar requests. Both have elected to transfer to paralegal positions. An important item to note is this does not result in additional FTEs for either department or for either department.
Okay, would you like to do a motion on D and E?
Motion to approve D&E.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Are there any questions for Carrie? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, same sign. Motion passes unanimously.
The final item I have for you this morning is to hire Jacqueline May and Karen May as seasonal election workers for the auditor's office at $12.50 an hour, both effective September 28th. The reason these are listed is we have a conflict of interest policy that prohibits hiring relatives, but for short-term employment, like the case here where neither one will be employed more than a couple months, we have made exceptions in the past, so we're asking for your approval on that this morning as well.
Okay, is there a motion on that?
So move.
Second.
Motion and a second. Any questions for Carrie? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, same sign. Motion passes unanimously. Thank you, Carrie.
Thank you.
Item number 6 is application for abatements. There are none. Item number 7 is notices and request. Item A is the first reading and authorize county auditor to publish notice of hearing to consider amendments to ordinance MC 31-3-10, an ordinance for licensing surface ambulance services in Minnehaha County related to the following: Sections 1-2 license terms, Amendment A, geographic areas for the county licenses, automatic aid maps, automatic aid agreements, and minimum staffing levels and certification. I would look for a motion.
I'll make that motion.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, same sign. Motion passes unanimously. Item number 8 is planning and zoning notices. There are none. Item number 9 is petition for compromise of lien. Item A is DP&O number 54207 in the amount of $3,311.60 and DP&O number 64161 in the amount of $1,679.60. Robert Wilson. Good morning, Robert.
Good morning. Good morning, Commissioners. Robert Wilson with the Commission Office. The Commission Office has received a petition for a compromise and settlement of 2 county aid liens for DP&Os 54207 in the amount of $3,311.60 and DP&O 64161 in the amount of $1,679.60. That combined total is $4,991.20. Petitioner is a single parent of 4 children and has recently attempted to purchase a home, but was unable to close that purchase as a result of these 2 outstanding liens. The applicant is interested in, again, attempting to purchase a home, but needs to get these resolved prior to doing so, and is bringing forward this compromise request for that purpose. The narrative that you have from the applicant expresses the financial hardship of raising his children. One child has a significant medical issue, but there are, which is in remission, but continues to be an issue that he and his family are dealing with. Payments have been made on the first DP&O 54207, totaling $375. The petitioner states that he was not aware of these and had not been notified, specifically about the second DP&O 64161, and that was the reason that he had not made any payments. He lists his liabilities at just under $19,000 and reports assets of a little over $2,500 in addition to 2 weeks net pay. Tax returns for last year showed a refund of $4,725.56. This applicant is offering a payment of $2,000 towards a compromise and for a request to compromise and release both liens in full. If you did accept that compromise, the $2,000 would be 40% of the current total of $4,991.20. If you included the $375 that he has already made in payments towards one of those, that payment amount is about 44% that he would have paid towards the total lien balance. In your packet that you had available to review was the application, along with the applicant's narrative, summary of the liens, as well as recent pay stubs and the most recent 2015 tax return.
Okay. Any questions for Robert? Robert?
Robert, there's no car listed in the assets, and yet there's a 15,000. Or the 15,000 is not a car loan, is that to Wells Fargo? I can't, on his liabilities.
Yeah, it is listed as a, you're correct. It's listed as an auto loan and then does not have a corresponding value for the value of an automobile listed on there.
Okay, thank you.
Is the applicant here? I don't think so. Okay. So additional questions for Robert? Commissioner Benega?
When I looked at that, my assumption was that auto loan is probably for a long-term lease of a vehicle with no title at this point.
I would point out, Robert, those payments that you mentioned, the $300 and some, those were made on previous charges that I don't believe are included in that total. So he had paid everything else prior to about 2008, I believe it was, down to $62, and the rest of them have been since 2008, if I read that correctly.
Madam Chair?
Commissioner Barth?
I would just make a couple comments. One is that, you know, our most recent assistance here is pretty recent. And, you know, it has to do with public defender. It would be better for the applicant if they would avoid those kinds of charges. Additionally, there was a comment about not being notified. You know, we have, I'm sure, thousands in total of people that are owing us money on these liens, and we probably don't have good addresses on them. It would cost us additionally tens of thousands, I think, to mail out notice to all of those folks, and with very little to get back. So, you know, when you sign off that you understand that you owe these debts, it's up to you to remember that, because we're putting it in the record, but we're not sending you a weekly notice, and we're not charging any interest. I think that's a pretty generous loan when we don't charge interest. That said, I think that it looks like a reasonable offer, and I'll make a motion to accept the offered payment.
I have a motion. Is there a second?
I'll second that.
I have a motion and a second. Additional comments?
Just-
Commissioner?
Just
Kelly?
one, all of these charges are public defender or public advocate, and they go back to 2004. So I am not going to support this.
I would also point out that there's no real estate transaction with this at this point, and there would be time to make payments and then come back to us at a later point to ask for a compromise if he's actually in the process of, you put $2,000 now and you put down another $50 next year or the next year, whatever. You could pay that down a little farther than just 40%. So,
Good points.
are there any other comments? Otherwise, I have a motion and a second to compromise for $2,000. All those in favor say aye.
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 Those opposed,
Aye.
aye. Gerald, did you vote?
Aye. Aye, the first time.
So 3.
Sorry, not loud enough.
Yeah, motion passes 3-2 to compromise the amount of $2,000. Okay, the next is opportunity for public comment. Is there anyone who'd like to speak on anything that is not on the agenda today? Good morning.
Good morning.
If you can give your name and your address and
Marla Meyer. I'm with Girl Scouts, the CEO of Girl Scouts Dakota Horizons. And I have Mike Murphy here from the Y as well. So we just have a really quick update. I wanted to, we were in here a couple months ago and moved forward on the lease and a memorandum of understanding that we have with the Y. So just a quick update. We had a fabulous summer and managed to increase our usage through the council camps. We had our troops use the camp. We even had a troop from Boulder, Colorado swing through and on their way through and use the camp as well. We appreciate your flexibility, the commissioner's flexibility to enter into the agreement with the Y, because Mike has some things to share as well on some additional activities with the access that they had to the property. So I think overall we helped the youth in the county have a improved summer of using the camp out there. Just real quick on the Girl Scouts and what these experiences do. So you might know the Girl Scouts, our mission is to build courage, confidence, and character in girls, which is basically we're a leadership program for girls. And when we're able to use properties like this and then we build programs around it, over 70% of girls get an outdoor experience that they never would have had. And nearly 30% of them overcome a fear of the outdoors that they have maybe had. So it's really a great experience for them. And outdoor is one of our pillars. So at the Girl Scouts, you hear probably a lot of things that we're about, but we really have pillars of what the experiences are. We have them in STEM, we have them in outdoor, we have them in life skills, and then entrepreneurship. So outdoor is one of our key pillars. So I just wanted to say thank you for that. And on a very light note, I didn't bring photos, but we took full use of it, and I even had my executive team out there because the theme this year was shipwrecked at Wall Lake. So they needed some pirates, and we were able to help out with that. So anyway, next time we'll bring pictures. But Mike,
thank you, Marla. Thank you. Mark? Or Mike, excuse me.
All right. Yes, Mike Murphy with the Sioux Falls YMCA. I can't thank the county and the Girl Scout Council enough to allow us to have this opportunity this summer to co-utilize the property at Wall Lake. we had a fantastic summer. We had great weather. We were able to serve just over 3,000 campers on a whole this summer throughout our program. About 1,500 of those campers were able to make a trip out to Wall Lake and utilize that property. Our season extended from June 13th until really the end of August this summer. So we were able to make several trips out to Wall Lake a week, and it really provided us a safe opportunity to get kids primarily on the water. We did a lot of canoeing and kayaking. Again, the Girl Scout Council was kind enough to allow us to co-utilize some of their structures, and so the kids were able to do some other activities out there. But a fantastic opportunity that we would not have had a chance to do without the generosity of the county and the Girl Scout Council. So I can't thank you enough, and look forward to hopefully moving forward in the future with continuing this partnership. So.
I would like to thank you both for coming and giving us an update, and for the Girl Scouts for thinking outside the box and finding a really good partnership, because it expanded what we're doing for our youth in the area. It's just fantastic that you are putting more hours into our park and using it. And also to planning, which Scott's standing in the back, I think he's got a comment. Planning and zoning has been working with both of these entities to get this to work, and thank you, Scott, for also thinking outside of the box and making something different work. So
Yes, Scott Anderson, Planning and Parks. I just also wanted to thank the Girl Scouts and the Y. We had a really good summer. We didn't have a single issue. I really think it's a great partnership. I think it also lets the public see and learn and be aware that there are programs out there. So I think it's a good outreach for the public to understand too that there are people out there that are providing services to the youth. So I think it's really a win-win situation. Thanks.
very much. Thank you for coming.
Madam
We'll
Chair?
look forward to your next update. Commissioner Barth.
I would just comment also that, we are not really in the parks business. It's just a very small thing that we happen to have inherited. There's the Booker Prairie, there's Wall Lake, there's, I guess, the fairgrounds. But, most of our efforts are in other areas. It's heartwarming to hear that this little park could be so helpful to these groups, and thanks.
Yep, and continuing education through the county, which I think is really great, because you're right, it's a very small part of our budget. So,
Bob Litz from the Auditor's Office. I just wanted to chime in that the Girl Scouts office out on Marion Road has been a long-time polling location. It's a busy precinct, and they've been very good partners for the county in that. So I just wanted to tell you that.
thank you for adding that. Are there
Got to
any,
be 18 to vote, though, right, Bob?
are there any more public comments? Okay, seeing none, we will go on to regular business. Item number 10 is an issue proclamation recognizing October 2nd, 2016 through October 9, 2016 as National 4-H Week, and declare October 5th, 2016 as Minnehaha County 4-H Day. Chuck Martinell.
Actually, you skipped number 10.
That is number 10.
Then is Marcy's Law.
Consider resolution on constitutional
The online list is different than the
Yeah,
printed
we-
list.
We have two different agenda items.
Okay, I have two different handouts.
They just are
so-
flipped.
Okay, where are we at? Since I don't have.
If you want to look down at the screen, Cindy.
Yep.
Okay.
Let's see if I can see it down there. Consider resolution on constitutional amendment S, Marcy's Law, as a duplicative, unnecessary amendment for South Dakota. Carol Muller, Eric Schulte, and Ryan Colbeck. Sorry.
Commissioners,
We
thank
will
you.
move on.
Thank you very much. Carol Muller, Commission Administrative Officer. The Commission has expressed concern about Constitutional Amendment S, an amendment to the South Dakota Constitution to expand rights for crime victims, which is on the ballot this November. It is frequently referred to as Marcy's Law. For your consideration, we've drafted up a resolution, but before your consideration of that, I would like to introduce Eric Schulte and Ryan Colbeck to address information and education for your consideration.
Good morning. I'm going to let you introduce yourselves again.
Good morning, everyone. It's my pleasure to be here today. I want to thank you for the opportunity to address this commission on a constitutional amendment that is proposed that will be before the voters this November that I think is very important. My name is Eric Schulte. I practice law in Sioux Falls, and earlier this summer I joined with other lawyers in the State Bar of South Dakota at our business meeting to pass a resolution opposing Amendment S, which is otherwise known as Marcy's Law. And there are a few fundamental reasons why I would like to visit with you about today. After I talk for a few minutes, my colleague Ryan Colbeck would like to visit with you as well. To be clear, I support very strongly victims' rights. I think it's critical for our system of justice that victims have an opportunity to participate in the court process, but I have concerns about the reach of Marcy's Law. For a little bit of background, currently South Dakota has in place and has since 1991 the Victims' Rights Act. This act, which was passed by the legislature, gives victims of violent crimes certain rights in criminal cases, including notice of court proceedings, notice of when an offender is released on bail, and a right to be heard at sentencing. My view with such an important part of our system is that if there's a problem to it, the appropriate fix would be to go to the legislature, where you could fairly address what the cost of any changes would be, and where you could fairly analyze whatever problems are with the system that's been in place since 1991. Amendment S, however, goes beyond that. What it does is it greatly expands the rights of people that are victims of crime versus what is on the books now by the legislature. Instead of focusing on violent offenses, it gives rights to every victim of any crime, no matter if it's a lower level petty theft offense or a felony offense. It places the rights of a person of a gas station that's the victim of a shoplifting offense on a same level as a person that's a victim of a violent crime such as murder or rape or aggravated assault. In addition to that, Marcy's Law greatly expands the definition of who a victim is. Quoting from the proposed amendment, it states that the term victim also includes any spouse, parent, grandparent, child, sibling, grandchild, or guardian, and any person with a relationship to the victim that is substantially similar to a listed relationship and includes a lawful representative of a victim who is deceased, incompetent, a minor, or physically or mentally incapacitated. Thus, it expands the definition of a victim to relatives of the victim, grandparents of the victim, children, grandchildren. It also provides that it's mandatory that each person that is a victim will receive notice, of course, of court proceedings, but they are also supposed to receive what is known as a Marcy's card, where the government is obligated to give a Marcy's card to every victim about all of the rights that are given under the terms of the amendment. Now, I'm not, for example, an expert on California taxation. This is a California proposal. What I do know, though, is that this commission has to be and is a good steward of the money and the limited resources that you have for public service and protecting the public. I am concerned that if this would be passed, that the protections that are afforded to victims of violent crimes right now could be diluted because the obligations would be so great and vast versus what we have right now. This commission has a duty, of course, to fund the state's attorney's office, which is extremely busy. The commission has a duty to fund the public defender's office, which is very busy, and also has recently approved the funding for victims' witness assistance in the state's attorney's office, which is a critical function. My concern is that there would be increased costs which would be forced upon this commission, and it is an unfunded mandate with absolutely no financing or taxation on the state level to fund what you would be having to do because this is a constitutional amendment. I think that the proper way to address any problems in our current structure would be to have a dialogue with the legislature instead of doing this, which I believe is not necessary. And with that, I'll close my comments, and Mr. Colbeck would like to speak as well, and then we'd be happy to answer any questions that you may have.
Madam Chair, members of the commission, Ryan Colbeck. I'm an attorney in Sioux Falls. I do specialize in criminal defense. I don't often see the eye to eye with prosecutors, but we definitely do in this case. I do believe that Minnehaha County Prosecutor Aaron McGowan does a great job advocating for the victims as he's supposed to and protecting victim rights. And the State's Attorneys Association in the state of South Dakota has opposed Marcy's Law, as opposed to Amendment S, because they also do a great job advocating for victims. So how can somebody be against something that is for victims' rights? I echo a lot about, or most of what, or all of what Eric said. No one's here against victims. No one's here saying that they should not have rights. What we believe is that South Dakotans should protect South Dakotans and allow our legislature to protect our victims. And that's the way it's been done since 1991. In addition to what Eric said, what I want to talk about is a little bit about the campaign. This is entirely financed by one billionaire from California. His net worth is $1.8 billion. I've been, I guess, tasked with trying to compete with that and trying to raise money in opposition to Amendment S. Right now, this billionaire has basically appropriated $750,000 of his own dollars in South Dakota. He's given more to North Dakota, and he's given more to Montana, because it's also on the ballot there. And I will state that the State Bar of North Dakota, the county prosecutors in North Dakota, and the lawyers in North Dakota also oppose Amendment S. But what we're trying to do here is talk to and educate boards like this and talk to the public in different settings about what this 3-page constitutional amendment would do. And when you actually sit down and talk with people and show them the 19 sections and then the 3 paragraphs, they learn about how this criminal justice system operates. And they learn that, frankly, what this is one California billionaire's attack on the South Dakota criminal justice system. Because what he's saying is our legislature does a bad job or an inadequate job. And what he's saying is that our county prosecutors do an inadequate job. And that instead we need to have this constitutional amendment. The references that Mr. Schulte mentioned are actually on page 3 of this constitutional amendment. And I can say that this started in 1983 with President Reagan and a task force. President Reagan talked about victims' rights and mentioned adding 1 sentence to the federal Constitution in responding to victim rights. 1 sentence. And because of money, now we have a 3-page proposal for the South Dakota Constitution. And when you look at those 19 sections, how it impacts the county's budget will be enormous. Pennington County Prosecutor Mark Vargo opposes Amendment S. He talked yesterday last week to the Associated Press, and he talked about how if you expand the definition of victim by 10, and if you expand the number of crimes by 10, the argument that it will not increase costs is absurd. And he also has this duty in Rapid City to be fiscally prudent, as do you. I'm proud that Aaron McGowan has come out in opposition to Amendment S from Minnehaha County, because he also has a duty to Minnehaha County taxpayers. The campaign has already spent a portion of their $750,000 by sending out 5 mailers, by having a radio ad, and by having television commercials. Scary music, basically saying that we're not safe here in South Dakota. You know that's not true, and I know that's not true. More than half of your budget is for public safety. We do all we can with what we have to keep South Dakotans safe. But this campaign is also misleading. When you look at their brochure, this is just their brochure, and this is not one of their mailers. But the brochure basically talks about the right to be treated with fairness and respect, information, notification, that kind of stuff, and how it basically states that these rights are not present right now. They all are. To victims of violent offenses, domestic assault, DUIs involving an accident, and different offenses which our legislature deems appropriate. Our legislature has been protecting victims since 1991, and if this is made a constitutional amendment, which cannot be changed, our legislature will no longer be able to protect victims. While it's known as Marcy's Law, it in no way is a law. It is not something that can be changed every single year, and it's only something that could be changed with an additional constitutional amendment. One of the things I want to mention here is that their main argument about why we need this as a constitutional amendment is because state law does not provide enforceable rights. Saying that if a prosecutor does not provide a victim with notice, that there's no remedy in law to enforce that law, or to enforce those victims' rights. And that's entirely not true. We have, within our Victims Crime Act, a statute, 23A 28C3, that talks about if a victim believes that they have not been given their victim rights, they can petition the court, and the court can determine whether or not an additional hearing is necessary. So anytime that a criminal court has jurisdiction over the case, the court protects our victims. And the court, if receiving notice from a victim, believes that a victim right has been violated, the court can have another hearing to do that. The only other part about the enforceability aspect and what it'll add to this is a cause of action under the federal Constitution. If somebody believes that there's a violation of a federal right, they can claim a Section 1983 federal lawsuit against a government official. If they believe, and this exists in Constitutional Amendment S, and this is different than Illinois, this is different than a lot of other constitutions which the proponents talk about, because in those constitutions it specifically mentions that this does not create a cause of action. In our proposal for Amendment S, it doesn't say that. So the reference would be that there is a cause of action against Aaron McGowan if the prosecutor's office is unable to provide or does not provide all the victims that Eric talked about with notice. There will be a cause of action against the governor in violation of federal law if somebody is released without victim notification. We're going to be creating federal lawsuits for alleging violation of constitutional rights that do not exist right now. The other area of this is that I've been a victim myself. This summer I was one of 80 to 90 people whose windshield was shot out by a young man with a BB gun, pellet gun, whatever it was. Now, first of all, there's 80 of us. And then with the expanded definition of victim, which Eric mentioned regarding our family members and those types of things, you could times that by 5. So all of a sudden now there's 400 people that would need to be notified every time this person who's alleged to have committed that crime release, plea, and sentencing. Now, I would like to know what happens with that case, and that's fine. But I also know that our county prosecutor has said that this will water down victim services by providing notification and these rights to lower level cases. And as I in no way believe, as a victim of a vandalism, that I am comparable to a victim of a rape, or that I'm comparable to being a family member of a victim of somebody who was murdered. Our prosecutor's office should prioritize the resources to those violent offenses where they deserve the most treatment. While I was victimized, in no way is it the same to a violent offense. Our legislature has realized that and provided the victim rights to violent offenses and other offenses like that, and it should remain that way. So I appreciate your time here this morning and your consideration of this. The county will bear the brunt of the cost for the notification and also potential liability for lawsuits if this is passed. Thank you.
Thank you,
Madam
Ryan.
Chair.
Commissioner Barth.
Ryan, thank you for coming today. And, you know, when you say the county will carry the brunt of paying for this, actually it's our property taxpayers that would have to pay for this. But going back to the situation where you were vandalized, you know, and I'm just reducto ad absurdum here, I have a windshield. Shouldn't I be notified if this person is released?
Yeah.
I just throw that out there.
Are there any other questions for Ryan or Eric? Okay. Thank you both for taking time out of your work day to come and educate us. And we do have a resolution on the table, and I would ask Carol if she would read through that resolution.
Thank you, Commissioner. Whereas the South Dakota Legislature has enacted the South Dakota Crime Victims Act and that the state of South Dakota has enacted an automated notification system to keep victims involved in the judicial process, whereas Minnehaha County supports victims' rights as enacted by the state of South Dakota, including the hiring of victims' witness assistants for the support of victims, whereas Minnehaha County seeks to ensure that the priority continues to be placed on violent crimes as defined by state statute, such as rape, aggravated assault, or murder, whereas Constitutional Amendment S, referred to as Marcy's Law, is duplicative to enforceable rights already in statute and would water down existing victim services. Be it resolved that the Minnehaha County Commission does not support the passage of an amendment to the South Dakota Constitution to expand rights for crime victims, Constitutional Amendment S, on the November 2016 ballot.
Okay. Are there any questions for Carol? Look for a motion.
I'd like to move to approve.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. All those in favor say aye.
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 Those opposed, same sign. Motion passes unanimously. I would challenge everyone in this room that if you tell 10 people about the presentation today, and then they tell 10 people, we can educate the public and we can stop California from pushing legislation down on South Dakota people. So I challenge you to get out there and put the word out. So with that, we will go on to item number 11. And now that I have multiple papers in front of me, we'll hope I get them right this time. Issue proclamation recognizing October 2nd, 2016 through October 9, 2016 as National 4-H Week and declare October 5th as 2016 as Minnehaha County 4-H Day. Chuck Martinell, now you're coming up here.
Good morning, Commissioners. Chuck Martinell, 4-H Program Advisor. We have a proclamation here I have to admit here. My phone is failing me this morning, so I don't have the proclamation in front of me, but it's on the screen, so I will read it from there.
Okay.
I knew Robert would bail me out. The proclamation is, whereas 4-H is an educational program where members focus on learning by doing with their head, hearts, hands, and health, and whereas the 4-H program develops critical thinking and problem-solving skills that were sought by the business world and public service, and whereas 4-H develops lifelong skills, leadership, citizenship of urban and rural youth, all of which benefit their families, careers, and communities on a local and state, national, international level. And whereas 4-H youth are 3.5 times more likely than youth in other programs to be actively involved in community service. And whereas the Minnehaha County Commission, a local partner, along with the South Dakota State University, the state partner, and the United States Department of Agriculture, the national partner, encourage the people of Minnehaha County to become involved with the 4-H program, a program that was established by the United States Congress in 1914. Now, therefore, we're asking you guys to recognize October 2nd through the 9th, 2016 as National 4-H Week and declare October 5th as Minnehaha County 4-H Day.
Are there any questions for Chuck on that?
Madam Chair, I'll make a motion to approve that resolution, but I would like to ask Carol
Second.
some questions.
Okay. I have a motion and a second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, same sign. Motion passes unanimously. Commissioner Barth?
Thank you. So there are a lot of items that you mentioned in our that I am able to read here, but you know you've had a lot of developments. There's a lot of kids in your program. Can you tell us some more about what's going on with you guys these days?
You know,
had
Commissioner Barth, that is the next item on the agenda.
Oh.
If we could just finish this one, we will go on to let him give us a report, which would be great. I would just like to comment too
Take me
that
out of here.
what a great day that we had the 4-H, the YMCA, and the Girl Scouts all here talking about education that we support. So great. And so then we'll go on to item number 12, which is a briefing and update of activities of the Minnehaha County 4-H Youth Development Program and the status of the department relocation to SDSU Extension Regional Center.
All right, just an update here of what the 4-H program's been doing the last few months here since we last met. The last week has been pretty eventful for us as we have left the old county jail building and moved over to the SDSU's Extension Regional Center. We are 90% of the way out of our old area. We still have a few items to take care of. We have to work with Lloyd to get them recycled appropriately. But the move overall is a huge benefit for both us and the county. In general, the biggest help for us is it puts all of our extension services under one roof again, so we can actually collaborate and work together in projects a lot easier instead of me having to go out there for meetings and wasting a lot of travel time. I'm just able to walk down the hallway and meet with people and actually get, I'm saving 2-3 hours a week versus driving back and forth. So That is a huge benefit. Also, the parking is a huge benefit there. There's a lot of open parking. We know around here parking is very tight, and a lot of people want the parking. So very much looking forward to that and not having to deal with our number one complaint that we had to park 3 miles away or feed the meter. So even though 3 miles away, apparently it's 1 block. But, the other thing is a huge thing is the new area has a 4-station kitchen, which allows us to do more of nutrition cooking classes for our 4-H youth. The old facility had a 1 station, which made cooking very tricky there. And nutrition is a huge part of 4-H, so we want to take advantage of that. The big thing here is overall, we're going to save the county some money. We're estimating it to be about $11,300 a year that you guys would save with us being over there, plus the access to 6-7 offices, plus an additional storage spot. I know you guys are doing some sort of study to figure out how best to use that spot, but it is a huge area, so our footprint is going to be smaller, which is for 3 people should be smaller. So the program and all here at September 30th, we ended our 4-H year. Our 4-H year ended with 603 youth registered for 4-H. We had about 100 volunteers registered. We worked with, throughout the entire county, 9,738 kids through the year, which is after school, summer day camps. We do robotic classes with the Siouxland Public Libraries. We do egg days. We do the water festival. We do we go travel out to places like Del Rapids, Crooks, and do specialized programming up there. We do shooting sports in the county, where we teach kids how to shoot safely and find them areas to do archery, shotgun, rifle, places like that. So one of the big things last summer we held summer day camps in Hartford, Crooks, Del Rapids, Sioux Falls, and Brandon. We recognize these 5 areas as places of need for day camps. And we partnered with local youth organizations in those communities to put on these day camps. We had 621 kids take part in these different programs. It's an increase from last summer. We're looking at trying to add a spot in Garrettson and Baltic next summer, but those communities lack those youth programs, so we're going to have to work with public libraries to try to make that happen. At the fair this year, it's kind of the telltale sign of how your 4-H program is doing with your traditional 4-H. Our traditional 4-H program, we had our largest number of exhibits judged since I've been here. This is my 4th fair, so we had 1,863 exhibits judged this year. This is huge. It's the biggest number in 10 years that I found. We had 453 of our youth who took an active part in the fair. So we had 150 kids who did not take an active part, so that's about 75% of our membership is actually doing 4-H on an active level and displaying what they're doing. We also included a lot of new areas at the fair this year. We did an artist and residency program. We had our clubs lead educational activities. We did junk drawer robotics for the community. And we did a new animal companion project in which kids can now bring in their pets to have them judged. So we're recognizing that as times are changing, 4-H has to change with those times, and that animals taking care of everything from cats to hamsters to guinea pigs, fish. We didn't have any fish. We had some snakes and some lizards. That all these things, are projects kids can come up and display. And by having an animal judge, we're not saying they're looking at the judge is looking at the quality of the lizard. The judge is listening to the kid, how the kid takes care of this animal, what are some facts about this animal that the kid knows, and overall, what's the condition of the animal. So are they actually following through what they're saying? So it's a very, very exciting program. Moving forward into the fall, we are continuing on with our after-school programs. We don't slow down. We just reload and do something different here in the fall. So we reach out to those community partners that we have. Nathan Skatson, who last year took over as a didn't take over, but he became a full-time program advisor, is taking over the K through 5th after-school program for me. He's going to focus entirely on that. He's got 21 different places he goes throughout the month. And these sites are spread throughout the county. So he'll be up to Hartford. He'll be in Del Rapids. We'll be everywhere. Sioux Falls, Brandon. So if there's after-school programming, we'll be there representing. This has really allowed me to change my job a little bit to go to middle school, which is a huge need in the county. There's very few programs that really focus on middle school. It's a gap that's been recognized by almost every school district, and we'll be working hard to make sure that gap is met. Right now, I'm working with 8 different sites, including the JDC again, and we're going to be meeting. I'm also meeting weekly with 2 after-school 4-H clubs that we started, which is actually exciting too, because now that's our goal, is get these sites into 4-H clubs in which they can be self-sufficient and we can move on to another group. So that is huge. Currently, the 4-H also is looking to expand 3 more clubs in the county, which would increase our numbers again. 2 would be located in that Del Rapids area, which we've been focusing on for the last year and a half, trying to get more of a 4-H community back into that area. 1 will be here in Sioux Falls. And we're also working with the Y at their what used to be Star Performance, at forming a club down there too. So we are busy, but we're being effective. So
Questions for Chuck?
I'd just like to make a comment. I appreciate that report. That was really detailed. It shows that you're really out there getting a lot done all throughout the county, which is, I think, important. I also want to applaud you for working on middle school programs. I know that is a real need, and I think there's a special place in heaven for people who work with middle schoolers all the time. So thank you.
I'd also say, if you notice Chuck's numbers in our report, he's doubled the number of kids in 4-H programs in the 4 years he's been here, and I anticipate by next year he will have added quite a few more kids. And it's also been a great addition to the fair, because I guess in the early 1980s, they split 4-H and the fair, which made the numbers of farmers go down significantly in the fair, which hurt the population. And I don't know when it was that they finally came back together, but as Chuck continues to grow the numbers in the 4-H program, it also helps to grow the attendance at the fair, which is also our program. So all good things, and thank you very much for your report. We greatly appreciate that. So.
Thank you.
Okay. With that, we'll go on to item number 13. Consider a bid award for the Fairgrounds Expo Building, restroom remodeling, comfort station construction. Bids are open September 28th. Robert Wilson.
Good morning again, Commissioners. This is a project that Scott Wick with the Fairgrounds has briefed you on a couple of times in Building Committee, and that was noticed several weeks ago, and we received bids for general contractor services this past week for the Expo Building bathroom remodel and construction of comfort stations out at the W.H. Lyon Fairgrounds. Those bids were opened on Wednesday, September 28th last week. We did receive 6 bids, which was, I know Lloyd Olson with Facilities was very pleased with that number of bids. Received bids from Pesca Construction, Mark Luke Construction, Swift Contractors, Ronning Enterprises, Vision Construction Group, and Beckenhofer Construction. Low bid was submitted by Pesca Construction with a base bid of $492,594 and 1 alternate for an additional $4,432. That alternate would include a wrapping for water pipes above the toilets in the comfort station to prevent freezing. Included in that bid from Pesca Construction was a December 16th completion date for this year, which was very good. The low bid, including the base bid and the alternate of number 1 alternate, and in the amount of $497,026, that is $24,439 less than the estimated cost that was prepared by our project architect. The county has $470,000 available in this year's building fund for fair-related projects, and there is an additional $75,000 available from the city that the city has committed in support of renovating those Expo Building bathrooms. So these bids come in within the budget that was available. That's always very good news. Project architect JLG Architects and the Minnehaha County Facilities Department recommend that the Commission accept the base bid and alternate submitted by Pesca Construction.
Okay. Are there any questions for Robert? Is there a motion?
Move for approval.
Second.
A motion and a second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, same sign. Motion passes unanimously. And just a shout out to the city for continuing to support the fairgrounds as they have recognized the significant amount of income that comes from the fair to the city of Sioux Falls. Item number 14 is authorize the chair to sign proposed land sales of Track 3, Halls Edition, Southeast 1/4, 31 Township 102, Range 49, also known as 4200 North Westport Avenue, Sioux Falls, South Dakota. Bill Hoskins. Good morning, Bill. This is a great day for you.
Good morning. Bill Hoskins, Director of Siouxland Heritage Museums. Commissioners, Bob and Kari Hall donated 24.97 acres to Minnehaha County December 9th, 2008 to provide a site for the construction of, as Kari said, a research, collection, storage, and archive facility for the Siouxland Heritage Museums. That original deed provided that we could sell up to 19.97 acres to help raise money for the construction of that facility. Track 3 of Hall's Edition was surplused in January of 2014. Minnehaha County listed that property with a real estate broker in March of 2014, and today we're bringing a proposal for the sale of that 19.97 acres to you for your approval. The sale price for that Track 3 would be $1,522,312.75. Once the document is signed, it would be approximately 150 days to the completion of the sale. That's 120 days of due diligence and 30 days of closing. I'd like to thank Kirsten Kapmeyer, our Chief Civil Deputy State's Attorney, and our real estate broker, Ron Nelson, for all their hard work in helping to bring about this proposal. And I would request that you authorize the chairman to sign.
Make a motion to authorize the chair to sign this agreement.
I have a motion. Is there a second?
I'll second.
A second. Any comments or additions? Commissioner Barth?
I wonder if Diane Metley might comment. She's been involved in this project forever.
Diane is a member of the museum board and also the president of the Siouxland Heritage Museums Alliance.
Well, thank you, Jeff. I hadn't planned on commenting, but we'd like to thank the commission for their patience and their diligence. And indeed, this is a great day. Thank you.
Thank you, Diane. I have a motion and a second to approve. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, same sign. Motion passes unanimously. Item number 15 is consider a resolution to restore tax deed number 2597 RDA ID 66570 to the former owner of the record.
Good morning, Bob Litz from Audit. Minnehaha County holds under tax deed proceedings tax deed number 2597 RDID 66570. The Minnehaha County Treasurer has received payment from TTT Investments LLC in the amount of $11,499.87. This represents all taxes, assessments, interest, and costs owing on the tax deed. We're asking for your approval of the resolution submitted for your consideration to restore the property to Debbie A. Olson, the former record or owner of record, according to SDCL 10-25-41.
Okay, any questions for Bob on this? Is there a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Motion and a second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, same sign. Motion passes unanimously.
That takes care of our tax deeds for this year. It's an unusual year. We had 4 properties with houses on them, and that's never happened before in my knowledge, so.
Well, thank you to the staff and Robert specifically for working so hard to get this resolved and keep those people in their homes. So thank you, Robert. I know you spent a lot of time on it. Item number 16 is consider motion to proceed with refunding the 2005 A series as a separate bond series, 2016A.
Last week, we did have a conversation about the current refunding that's coming up, and if we take the 2005 series of bonds and do a separate series of bonds issuing on that. What it will do is loosen up the indentured rate, so we'll be able to possibly sell that property in 2020. And I don't think it was consensus last week among the financial advisor and our attorney that we don't need a new set of resolutions, but since we are moving about $12,000 in money out of our savings, and it would be an expenditure, I'm asking that you approve this action today.
Okay, and this is a motion to proceed with the refunding. Is there any questions?
So move.
Okay.
Second.
Motion and a second. Any questions? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, same sign. Motion passes unanimously.
Commissioner.
Thanks, Bob. Item number 17 is authorize the chairman to sign a commitment letter to participate in the White House-driven Justice Initiative seeking to address the prevalence of people with mental illnesses in jail and the number of people in jail in the pre-trial phase of the system. Good morning, Erin Surtzka.
Good morning, Commission. Erin Surska, Minnehaha County Commission Office, and I'm here asking for your approval for the chair to sign a commitment letter for the Data-Driven Justice Initiative, and it's a project supported by the White House. Sheriff Milstead and myself had the opportunity to participate on a conference call giving us information about this initiative. How we got the invitation to participate is through our Stepping Up resolution that we signed back in November. And what the White House, what this project is aimed to do is to be able to take data from the justice system and the public health or the health sector in our community, combine them, and then identify targeted populations to help reduce the numbers of people with mental illness in the justice system, and also to help better serve our community by identifying those folks that they call super utilizers. So by signing the commitment letter, we will have the opportunity to have a staff member, it's recommended that it be me, participate in a twice-a-month conference call of all the other participating jurisdictions across the nation where they share information, share strategies. It also gives us access to a national network of various tools, information clearinghouses, and different things. It just provides us another opportunity to have access to information, possible funding opportunities to support some of the projects we're already doing with pretrial and different things. So,
Did
any
speak
questions?
briefly with Cottington County's representative, and they are also on this data-driven justice initiative. And they said they've only been on it a few months, but they said been very helpful for them, and they've gained a lot of insight from conversations with other states that are involved. So, and in the notes and in our website, in our laptops, there is a presentation that was handed out during their conference calls for them to, and it's very interesting, just gives a lot of the data and stats. So
yeah, what they did is they presented kind of why the White House decided to support a project like this and some of the different strategies that the jurisdictions have identified and implemented successfully, and some of those successes are in that PowerPoint.
look for questions or motion.
I make a motion to approve.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, same sign. Motion passes unanimously. Thank
Thank you.
Item number 18 is Minnehaha County Commission liaison reports. Do we have any reports?
Madam Chair.
Commissioner Barth?
I did go to a open house at a hog operation up by Del Rapids, belonging to the Simmons of family. They were appreciative of our efforts, both as a planning commission and as a county commission to support agriculture in our county.
Thank you, Jeff. Any others? Commissioner Bender?
I'd just like to give an update. As the commission knows, there was a prisoner who jumped the fence at the correctional center. He has been apprehended now and returned to custody, so that's a good thing. I do think it just continues to bring focus to the work that we've been doing to try to move the jail project forward, and am looking forward to the discussion we're going to have next Wednesday at our building committee meeting.
Any other comments? Okay. Any new business? Any old business? And look for a motion to adjourn into executive session for possible litigation, personnel, and contract negotiations.
That's my motion.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, same sign. Motion passes unanimously. We are adjourned. Go tell your 10 people.